Tonight on the Fanatic Forum, it's going to be a fun one because we're going to get spooky. And I got a lot of help with that tonight here. So we're going to do that right after this. Hey everybody, happy Friday and welcome to the Fanatic Forum. I'm your Fanatic and host, George Buehler. We got a good one for you folks tonight. We're going to get spooky here on the Fanatic Forum because we are talking about our favorite underrated horror films. Now, these are movies that didn't necessarily bomb at the box office. They weren't necessarily hits, but they were just solid films. They do have an audience, but maybe other people need to know about them. Maybe we need to introduce them to a new audience. So either way, we're going to have a good one here because I have got lots of special guests here. First off, from Cryptid Crunch here, one of our new co-hosts here on the Cereal Box Network here, Creepy Kale Hollow. Hello, dear.
Hello, how are you today?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you for being on the show here. Very exciting.
My pleasure.
Yeah. And then we have got three other special guests here. I'm excited about this here. Coming to us from the great state of Tennessee here. Basically, let's bring them all on here because we have got all three of the Scream Queens here. DL Memphis, Lauren Stewart, Magda. Thank you so much for being on here. I'm so excited. I'm a big fan of the Ice Cream Queens podcast, and if you guys have not checked them out, give these ladies some love here because they talk about horror movies, true crime, creepy stuff, whatever. I mean, sometimes they just go off complete weird tangents, and they just we're in a completely different territory here. But
that's pretty much the premise of our show.
Yeah. So give these ladies some love here. You got to check them out if you have not. But anyway, I'm so excited to have all you all on the show here. How's everybody doing?
Doing good.
Wonderful.
Delighted to be here.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah. And especially Magda, I'm really excited to have you on here because, of course, you are a native of Scotland, and I have a very strong Scottish lineage in my family. So I'm very excited about this. So.
Thank you. Flattered.
Yes. Matter of fact, I'm a fun fact about me. I've never revealed on the show before here. I'm actually a member of two different Scottish clans because by blood, I'm a Mackay or Mackay as it's pronounced.
Mackay. That's proper Mackay.
Yeah. So Talister's my Scotch. So there you go. So that's where I'm Isle of Skye. Sort of Scotland there. But then my great aunt Doris, who is native to London, or they were kind of outside of London, but she lived for many, many years in Scotland and became a member of the Glencoe MacDonald clan. And so she inducted my father and I, and so we are honorary members of the Glencoe MacDonald clan.
Lovely.
Yeah. So. But I've also never been to Scotland, which is a crime. So.
You should. You should. Might be
one day.
How's everyone else doing here? So
lovely.
After the week so far here.
Yeah. I don't know. Does that?
You just reminded me of oh God, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie.
Paul Rubens' death is the best.
That was not intentional.
I need to see that again. It's been a while since I've seen that, and of course, since Paul just passed away, his performance in that movie just stole the show. So
he's such, he was such a good actor when it came to like serious. He could do the comedy. We all knew he could do the comedy, but occasionally you will see him in these roles where it's comedic, but he takes it so serious. Mystery Men's another good one where he really just takes this character and he's got the lisp and these boils all over his face, but he's still just like, he is acting with it, and you're just like, I go you, man.
Well, even like,
and honestly, Pee-wee. I mean, can we just talk about the magnificent thing that is Pee-wee, that has transcended time and has transcended eras? I mean, come on now, Pee-wee is. I'm sorry, I just watched the recent one with Joe. Joe. Yes, thank you.
Yes,
Joe M. We're gonna call him Joe M.
I just
know he's
see
lovely.
him, and all I can think of is True Blood werewolf guy, whatever his character's name was.
I just think of him as Sofia Vergara's former boy toy, because she dumped him. I guess she was tired of the late night
either of those. What? Shit.
Oh my goodness.
What?
Here as well. Here, Diamond Dave Mattingly's popped in here saying, "Good evening, Fanatics."
Hello,
Dave.
And saying, "Is a deal? Always a pleasure, gorgeous." If there's even a civil war in Scotland, George will have to battle himself. Yeah, well, I've been at war with myself pretty much since day one, so yeah, that's all that. So
I think that's everyone. That's everyone, right? That's normal. Just tell me
yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Normal.
thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so, but before we get started with the movie talk here, even though we've already kind of got started anyway, but before we get started here, normally you guys are usually aware that I talk about new comic books each week and whatnot. I'm going to do that tomorrow because tomorrow's a special day because it is Batman Day. Which basically DC Comics brought up this it's another free comic book day. They kind of stick in the bit of September here because this is close to around the time when supposedly of Bruce Wayne's birthday in the comics. So, anywho. Comic shops around the country will have free comics. They're going to have special offers, and I'm sure they'll have their sales and stuff like that too. So, Clobbering Comics, where I work, we have some giveaways, but we've also got a special foil reprint of a classic Batman issue, and you get a free figure with that. But then we're also having sales on our back issue. So, come one, come all that good stuff. So anyway, tomorrow morning, look for a video of me showing off the stuff we got to give away, and then also my new comic reviews then. So there you go.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. I don't know if you know this or not, but DL and I cosplay a couple Batman characters.
Not that you can't tell.
No, can't tell at all.
No. Yeah, I was gonna say, Memphis definitely it's got the cat ears going on there. So, I mean,
you should see me in latex.
Ooh, that was loud.
I love it. I mean, Lauren, if you want to go Harley and Magda gets to be Poison Ivy and Kale, I mean, you got a couple different options, honestly. So,
I've done the Riddler before, but I'm more of a Penguin.
Nice.
She's actually been recognized nationally for her Penguin. It's absolutely one of the most amazing cosplays. Oh, it is.
That's sweet. I gotta check that out. So I mean, I know you all are very seasoned cosplayers, but I have not seen your Penguin, so I'll check that out. So. Oh, you got Joey the Roadie coming in saying, "Evening, everyone. Hello, sir."
Joey.
Hello, Joey.
Hello, Joey.
Such Joey.
All right.
Such a cutie.
Before the show was talking, he's a good looking chap. So that's good.
We agree.
Anyway, so before the show, we were talking about a little bit about our movies, and we don't have a stinker at all. I mean, everybody picks some great flicks here, and honestly, the only one I have not seen is one of yours, DL, Creep. So that's the only one on the list I haven't seen. Yeah, I wanted to see it before this week, and then I kind of I watched Spiral yesterday. Have you all seen this? The Saw spinoff that stars Chris Rock.
No.
Is it a comedy? Is it just no?
It's a Saw film. It's a spinoff.
Okay.
They don't say exactly where in the timeline, except for when the original Jigsaw, he's already dead. But it's okay, well, he's he died like in the second movie, and then basically they kept him running in flashbacks for the other 3 sequels at least. So, but no, this is a spinoff. It's within the Saw universe because they call it Spiral from the Book of Saw. And I think Darren Lynn Bousman directs it, and Lee Wanell co-wrote it. So, I mean, this is, it feels like a Saw movie, but it's a little more kind of a police whodunit sort of thing like that, because Chris Rock's the lead detective. But it's got a decent cast. Yeah. So Sam Jackson's got a little role in there. I can't remember her name. Yeah, because he plays Chris Rock's dad. So
all right, I'm gonna have to look this up and put it on my list.
Yeah, it's on Hulu right now. So if
I'm going to have to ask my little, who is absolutely a just diehard Saw fan, who, I mean, honestly, that's her comfort movie, believe it or not. I mean,
the reason probably why it got hurt a little bit is because it was supposed to come out at the end of 2019, and then it got pushed back for whatever reason, and then 2020 happened. So it did get released in theaters, but I don't think anyone was able to actually go into the theater to watch it because it was one of those movies that kind of came and went, but it was because of the year it was released. So
this is like the cursed decade for movies. We got 2020 with COVID. We have the writer actor strike now. This is going to be the cursed decade probably for the rest of the, and then 2030 is going to hit, and we're going to get like so much kick-ass movieage. So that is my psychic thing, my brain doing the future thing for you.
24. How do we jump from 2024 to 2030?
Because it's 10 years, 2020 to 2030.
Do we have to wait?
Depending on how long these, both these strikes are going, because right now, the Hollywood bigwigs that are negotiating with the actors and the writers unions, they've kind of somewhat given up on the writers unions, and they're kind of going back to making the actors happy first, and then trying to go back to the writers. So it's still a mess right now. So
and it will be.
Either way, we're going to be, everything's going to be at least a year or 2 off now that didn't get out before the strike.
Yeah, I see the politics behind it, though. They're trying to get the actors happy because the actors are the people that people recognize. Like, you can look and be like, oh my gosh, that's Jenna Ortega. And then you can look at the person who was the cameraman and be like, I have no idea who that guy is. If they make the actors happy, then most of the people who are like campaigning for the strike are going to be like, oh, well, the people I know are happy now. So everyone else.
Exactly.
So it's a mess. Like just pay the people. Just pay people. No, come on. All right. So who wants to go first with their picks?
Well, I vote sorry, not Magda. DL. Because you know the one movie. I don't know that movie either, so I want to hear about that movie.
I've never seen Creep either.
Likewise.
Oh my God! Nobody has seen Creep.
No,
no one's
out under the radar. I guess. Hype it up. Sell it to us.
All right.
Start with Creep here. So I don't want to cover everybody up here. So
no, cover us. It's fine.
It's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah.
We're good.
Is that the right Creep? Hang on. I don't know if this is the right.
I'm sorry, Magda.
Okay, I don't know if this is the right Creep movie, to be honest with you. So what I am referencing is actually Creep, which was a found footage film.
Oh, this is not okay. Never mind.
Yeah. No. And that was something that I found out. So when people started talking about Creep, there were a couple of different versions that people were kind of discussing, but this was a found footage film where this man basically asked somebody to come in and film him, and it goes off the rails. It is probably one of the I really don't want to give a lot away, but it's probably one of the most nerve-wracking movies that I have ever seen. There is a scene. Every man that I have ever known that has ever seen this movie has said the same thing. When you get through this movie and you so the main character's name I do believe is Joshua. It's been a little while since I watched it, but and he is brought in under the pretense that he's going to be filming this gentleman who has brought him to his family cabin in the woods, and everything just kind of goes a little bit damn, yeah. Yes. So, and there are some of the most uncomfortable scenes that I have ever seen. So you have the tubby time scene where the main character is asked to film. Yes, I know it sounds as bad as it is.
No, so I don't. My brain went Teletubbies, and so now I'm sorry. Tubby time.
Yes. No, it's basically he wants to go take a bath.
Okay.
And he wants this gentleman to film. Yes.
See, you say tubby time. You were thinking Teletubbies. I'm thinking Gummo. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and if you know what that is, then you're already grossed out. So.
So basically, he's asked to come film this person, and he's like, it's tubby time, and he goes to take a bath, and he's asking this person to come film him. It is the most uncomfortable thing I have ever seen, because you have this man who is a grown man who is basically acting almost like a child in the way that he presents himself, but everything has yes.
They're rubber duckies.
I don't know. All I remember is Peach Fuzz, the wolf mask, because Peach Fuzz. Okay, I'm sorry. Just go see the damn movie. I cannot even begin. There are so many twists. There are so many terms. It is so messed up. And it is, I don't normally particularly care for found footage. It is not a genre that I lean into because I find it to be very shaky in the way that yes, thank you very much. The cinematography is generally not very
bad.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
But this was one of the most disturbing movies I have ever seen. And I mean, honestly, I have grown up on horror movies.
Okay.
I'm just going to, and it doesn't get any better. You just watch the whole thing through, and there's like bodies in, there's garbage bags, there's bodies, there's a wolf mask named Peach Fuzz. And if you don't make it to Peach Fuzz, make it to Peach Fuzz because it is so disturbing. It is so disturbing. I know this is like chaos. I don't know how else to explain this.
I love the chaos.
I love it.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go watch this damn movie. I don't know. It's a cabin in the woods. Everything goes wrong. Everything is a lie. Nothing fits what it's supposed to be. Somebody is psychotic. Somebody's trying to kill somebody, and then not really kill somebody. Maybe kill somebody. We don't really know. Probably kill somebody. Yes. But you get to the end of this, and some stupid man who went into the woods and met some guy that's not really who he says he is turns out to be the bad guy, and he's like, I am going to invite you to come over to my house. No, he doesn't really. He just doesn't. It's like his entire house is glass. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? Please put some damn boards on your windows. And I'm just like, I'm sorry. There's so much wrong with this movie.
Okay, so hang on. I have questions.
Yeah.
Welcome to our world.
So in the end, the cameraman is like the victim, and the guy who has to come film him is the bad guy. Yes. How messed up would it be if it was the other way around? If the guy who asked to come be filmed was like really weird and creepy the whole time.
Oh, no, wait. The guy who invited the cameraman, the guy who invited him was the bad guy. Did I misunderstand that?
How weird would it be if it was the other way around, though?
Oh, that the cameraman was the bad guy.
But you thought it was like the creepy guy the whole time. It was like, take video of me in the tub with my rubber duckies.
No. There is no denial. The moment you start this movie and you start watching this, you absolutely know who is the bad guy.
I know, but I want the same movie the other way around now, though. We should make this.
I know people. We'll talk about this. What? I'm sorry.
What? It's a cabin in the woods and really shaky footage. I mean, I fell down the stairs while I was filming that. You think it'll be all right? It's fine. It's supposed to be a found footage thing anyway. Yeah, they won't know the difference.
Okay, so the one thing that stands out to most people is the mask that he wears, which is basically a werewolf or a wolf's mask. It's more of a werewolf mask that he refers to as Peach Fuzz. And Peach Fuzz has committed some crimes that might be in the realm of SA. Yes. Yes. There is some really. This is one of the most messed up movies that I have ever seen. By the way, my daughter is the one who introduced me to this. My youngest daughter. Surprise.
Oh, no.
Hey, Mom, I have a family movie. Let's sit down and watch this together. I feel like you're going to enjoy this a whole lot. I can't tell you.
I love it.
I was so disturbed by the whole thing. It's like, okay, yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Welcome to Sunday Night with the Scream Queens. It's like total chaos, and it's usually led by me.
I love
Have
it.
the goat. Where the hell's the goat?
Well, it reminded me of a story. Like I was talking to a customer today in the shop. Like we were talking about, how, if somebody says they're into horror movies, you kind of, if they don't generalize, like I only like these kind of horror movies. If they just say I like horror movies, you think they're up for anything. So when they say I want a recommendation,
We are.
Yeah, and you give them anything, and then they come back complaining, why didn't you recommend this movie to me? It was horrible because this and this. Like, you said you liked horror movies. So the example was this older lady, she was like in her 60s, was a coworker, and she's like, oh, I really like horror movies. And she kind of listed off movies that she likes and says,
Go watch Terrifier.
And so, well, oh, God. Actually, go watch Terrifier 2. That's even more messed up.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Anywho, oh my God. So he recommended seeing X. And like, okay, that's kind of, it's a slasher movie, but it's a little arty, and it's like the best cinematography in a slasher movie ever. But it's like, okay, yeah, it's it's not that bad. It's like, yeah. But she came back thinking that was the worst thing ever. And like, you said you like horror movies. Like, just say I like horror movies, but I don't like gory ones. I only like this kind. It's like, you've got to communicate better, people.
It's
okay,
like
so
when
Lauren has.
Someone's like, "Hey, do you have like a book I want to read? Well, what do you like? Oh, I don't know. I like kind of,
I like anything.
I like those dirty kind of books. Oh yeah, no, I've got something for you. I like smut too. And you recommend them something, and they come back and they're like, "What is wrong with you?"
That is most of my movie recommendations. When somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, can you recommend a horror movie for me?" I mean, first of all, the first question is always, tell me a little bit about what you want to watch and what you like. I like just about anything. Okay, well, let me tell you about Sex Demons and Hellraiser, because that's my thing. Yeah, so let's go there. And if you don't like that, let me tell you something that's not quite as tame as that. We call that Human Centipede 2. There's a color used. It's called brown. Guess what it's used for? Thank you. Have a nice day. You want cannibalism? We can talk that too.
Yeah. It's when my wife and I first got together. Like her horror movie stuff was pretty tame, and so I found the best way to kind of like soften the blow is to explain how they did it. Affect stuff like that. So like we started with Walking Dead. Like, okay, when all the zombies are eating, that's barbecue. So like it drives all the lead actors nuts, because when they smell the smokers going and they smell barbecue, they know all the extras get to eat first, and everybody else has to wait for lunchtime. But the extras are all eating because they're zombies. So they're getting their lunch. They're just getting an interesting way of serving it. So breaking stuff down like that has helped out. But yeah, the cannibal movies, you don't need to see those, and don't even worry about that. It's like you won't like Cannibal Holocaust because there actually was animal cruelty in the movie. And then you won't like Green Inferno because you'll hate the entire cast and you want all of them to get eaten. And you are glad when they do, because they're all terrible people. So
yes,
yeah.
So I have a question. I have a question for you, George. So, what is your go-to horror genre?
I'm gonna say I've always been a big zombie fan, and it was before it was Ghost, because I grew up being a George Romero fan. I had the pleasure of getting to meet him about 20 years ago. It was glorious. It was wonderful. It was also like one of those cons like before celebrities knew, I could charge out an arm and a leg, and he shows up to Louisville thinking no one's going to care, no one knows who I am, and for the entire weekend he was there was lines wrapped around the hotel.
Okay, yes, I can see
Yeah,
that.
so
Honestly.
Louisville brought the love to Romero, and he was giddy like a schoolboy the entire weekend. So he was on cloud nine because he showed up thinking no one's going to care who I am with my stupid zombie movies, and then he got the love. So yeah, I got VHSs signed. You got a picture with him. I posted on Facebook. I think I did like a flashback like a few years ago, but yeah, it's like this. I don't even think I was 21. I think it was like 19, 20, something like that. But yeah, beaming like this, beaming like a sunbeam, getting to sit next to George Romero. But yeah, so I've always grew up on zombie movies, werewolf movies are big ones of mine. But being Catholic well, not anymore, but growing up Catholic, I should say, I was always attracted to like the possession movies and demon movies, stuff like that. So
Sorry.
yeah, so that was all good. Here's the funny thing. My first experience with The Exorcist. So I went backwards. I saw 3 first, and then I realized I had never seen the original.
Yeah.
The third one is got one of the best scenes ever in a horror movie because it's the hospital scene when the nurse is doing the rounds. She hears something, and then she goes to one room, and there's nothing there. And she walks in the room, and all of a sudden, boom! This dude in a sheet with like hedge trimmers comes in, and the next scene is clipped, but you don't see that part. But just that all of a sudden, boom! Like she was just in that room. How did she miss that guy?
Okay, so I do have another question. As you can tell, I'm used to actually being the host of the show. And I want to ask questions. So now I stop. I know. Yeah, I'll stop hosting. But I do have another question. So, what would you consider to be the most underrated zombie film that you've seen? Am I messing up the flow of things? Because I know.
No, you're not. No, this is a good question here because I don't think Zombie beavers?
Yeah, I've never heard of it. Zombie strippers and zombie beavers. They're like
zombie strippers is
right. Zombie strippers, yes. Zombie strippers, I know.
Robert,
Gosh, I'm trying to think. Nothing really comes off the top of my head because most of the ones the ones I'm really into, the classic Romero trilogy. Of course, be like Evil Dead, somewhere between zombies and demons.
Can I?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
what's that?
Return of the Living Dead 3. When the chick gets bit and she's like putting corkscrews through her flesh and like she ends up looking like the sexiest damn thing I've ever seen in my life by the end of it. And then that's probably showing a lot about myself there, but she ends up looking like that by the end of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
yeah, I gotta say, I'm kind of with you on that one, Lauren, because I like that one better than I do the original Return of the Living Dead, just because because I'm a big Romero fan, I've got a real hate on for John Russo, who was basically Romero's producing partner and co-wrote Night of the Living Dead. And then basically while George was doing Dawn and Day and whatnot, then John Russo says, well, I'm going to do my own zombie movies and they're going to be fun. And he does Return of the Living Dead. And to me, I know that movie's got a lot of fans, but I do not like Return of the Living Dead.
Okay, so I am actually going to go out there and say probably one of my absolute favorite movies, and it is a zombie movie. If you have not seen The Girl with all the gifts, yes, I'm sorry, that is absolutely phenomenal, and it's a bit more. I like to say cerebral. So it's not just
it's an art house zombie movie.
Yes, it is a art house, and it's absolutely a gorgeous movie, and it is beautifully done, and it's a great story. So I highly recommend that. Okay.
Yeah. Honestly, it's a weird combo, but thematically they fit. It pairs really well with Clive Owen's Children of Men. Because even though Children of Men is not a zombie movie, thematically those two go together really well. Yeah,
I can see that.
Warm Bodies, I think, is a movie that needs to be talked about more.
That's that movie. Romeo and Juliet. Okay, sorry.
What was his name? R. Yeah. Oh, I love that movie.
And Julie, wasn't she Julie or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Julie. Yeah.
Okay.
It's such a good love film with zombies.
It's precious. Love it.
It's very cute.
All right, I'm going to be the butthead who's getting us back on track. Because we haven't only talked about one movie that was actually on the list of movies. And Kale's been really quiet, so I want to hear one of Kale's picks.
Hi.
Yes.
Now I'm hosting
Your
the
turn.
show.
There you go. Take over.
I'm like, even though I don't blend into the background, I'm like, I'm a part of the scenery. So just tell me. I'll pipe in. But
yeah, Magda, Kale, butt in anytime, please. To shut the other three of us up. So
Kale, you go first. I'd love
I'm
to hear
half a
what
participant and half like enjoying the show and just listening to you guys right now.
I'm sorry. It's when you bring us in, it is absolute chaos. We apologize. We should have warned you coming in.
None needed. I know. I watched the show. I know.
I'm speaking for myself and DL here. We don't know when to stop talking.
Ever. And if we can't fill the space with comments, we're going to bring in a goat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't leave empty space. She'll bring in the goat. She's not kidding.
So I'll be mother here and go back to Kale. What were the movies that you knew that were underrated?
So I kind of picked ones. Well, I picked one that I really, really love just because it's one of those films that I think it was just playing on like Turner Classic Movies one day, and I like came across it on cable, and then like I started watching it, The Beyond. So
I have not seen that.
Yeah, she inherits a hotel in Louisiana from her family, and she basically goes there and attempts to like fix it up and everything like that. But the gist of it is the hotel ends up being on a gate to hell. So there's a really dark and artistic meaning when they're at the end in the painting, and they kind of like I don't want to ruin it, but like she ends up like going blind after she sees what's in the beyond. And I don't know, it always just really spoke to me because a lot of chaos happens when they're trying to fix it up. Like the whole basement starts flooding, like bodies and sewage because it's on a gate to hell, and demons come, and she's like seeing them. And there's a girl that died, and she thinks she's a phantom, but sometimes she's real, and she doesn't know if she's real or not because it's messing with her head. So yeah, it's just always been one of my favorites.
Nice. By the way, thank you for describing it like that, because I do not feel absolutely insane the way that I describe my movie. I'm just like, go see it. I don't know what it's about.
And if you don't know Lucio Fulci, he is considered one of the greatest fathers of like Italian directors and greatest fathers of horror. And one of the best scenes in The Beyond is the tarantula horde. So it's literally they look like the fake, because we're talking about a movie that was done in the 80s, right?
Oh, so it's like
it's literally
we are familiar with that
tarantulas you see, and they use those, but they're picking at his flesh and eating his body, and there's like 30 of them on him. And yeah, it terrified me as a kid because I was like, I hate spiders, and what if that happened? What if you were in the forest and you crawled into a nest, and then Harry Potter came out and all the giant spiders.
And then all hell broke loose, and never ever do we ever want to see another spider as long as we live.
Y'all speak for yourselves.
Funny enough,
I will take a snake over a spider any day.
I'll take it.
I've got a friend who's my friend Bill Butler is very big into spiders, and he's kind of taught me over the years of being able to appreciate the cuteness of spiders. So I have a little more tolerance for spiders than and of course, the Irish heritage in me says it's bad luck to kill a spider in the house anyway. So usually most of I'm trying to get them outside anyway. So
yeah, well, funny enough,
Magda, we're going to be asking.
A jumping spider was on my ceiling, and I saw it one day and it was gone, and then it came back 2 days later and she jumped onto my sink. My buddy happens to raise jumping spiders, and I sent him a picture and I was like, hey, is she friendly or whatever? And so he was like, yeah. And so I now have a pet spider. It's like my little exposure therapy for arachnophobia. But
that is another great movie.
Yeah, that one's fun. Yeah.
By the way, I'm sorry. I would be that person you would call me and ask me. It's like, is that a good spider or is it a bad spider? Kill it now. Kill it. Set it on fire and burn the whole house down.
Yeah, you're so loud. Sorry, eating the mic.
So I had a cage that I had moon crabs in before I put her in it. It turned out she was pregnant. So she laid a clutch. and I put mesh over the sides of the cage, and I thought that they couldn't get out, but like 40 jumping spiders escaped into my closet, and now they're my decorators.
Everything is cobweb, or not cobwebs, spiderwebs, everything.
Yeah,
Oh,
they were babies. They were literally so
That's the
tiny,
fourth
like
level
tinier
of
than your
hell.
pinky nail, and I was like, they won't get out. They got out. They're incredibly
Sorry.
crafty, so.
According to Dante, that's the fourth level of hell, correct?
Yes.
Mhm.
Great.
Magda, I think you know.
No.
Interesting though, Kale, you brought up the Beyond because I think it was like 76 or 77. There's a film that came out called The Sentinel, and it's literally a very similar plot to The Beyond. So in very typical Italian fashion, an American film will come out and the Italians will rip it off and then do their own little thing with it. But yeah, the Sentinel basically is a young woman moves into an apartment complex in New York, and when she moves in, she notices there's this old blind priest at the top of the building, like he's in like the top floor. She's like, "Oh, what's up with that dude? Oh, he's the old priest, lives up there." Finds out he's the guardian to the gates of hell, and the gates of hell are within the walls of the apartment complex. So it's got can't remember his last name. Christopher played Jerry Dandridge in the Fright Night movie.
The original Fright Night movie.
Chris Sarandon. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Chris Sarandon is in the movie. He's like the boyfriend of the girl, and he's like a baby in the movie. It's really weird. He's very young in the movie, but he's about the only recognizable face in there. But yeah, so interesting movie. It's
Sentinel, so I got to add that to my list now.
Yeah, it's a much weaker, like basically the Fulci took the Sentinel and then said, hold my beer, and turned it up a little bit. So the Beyond is way crazier than the Sentinel. Sentinel's like it's the toned down version. It's the Shirley Temple, so.
It's funny when you're asking about like what your go-to genre is, and I'm kind of agree. I love zombie movies, like Dawn of the Dead. I liked the whole mall concept. I like the zombie baby. I don't know, it always just spoke to me. I also go to like ghosts and paranormal because I'm always looking for, because I believe in spirit energy, and I'm always looking to see like, one, how are they translating it in film? What's the story? Is it something I'm going to be able to pick through the plot in 5 minutes in and know what the ending's going to be? So I'm always looking for something that will impress me. And I don't really get jump scared anymore. So that's what I'm always looking for. I'm like, if you can actually put me out of my comfort level, that's what I'm looking for. And I think that's why my other pick, Darkness Falls, spoke to me, because I was terrified of the dark always growing up. So if you haven't seen this one, it's about like an old tooth fairy legend from the 1800s. And basically they show the backstory, and then flash forward, she's terrorizing this town. Little boy never got his tooth, and she's like always going after him, and he has to like take psych meds to like stay awake. And what the premise is that if you are not in the light, even if your pinky isn't in the light, she can come and take you. So they're like using glow sticks and flashlights, and this guy's got like 700 Edison bulbs in his apartment. So yeah,
I will say that it's probably one of the best intros that I have ever seen in a movie. It is probably it's one of those when you start watching that movie and you have her like hovering over the door, just like, I mean, that
and then
probably,
she rips their face off and shatters, and her screech. Her screech is the worst.
Yes. No. That is probably one of the best intros I have ever seen. I do remember seeing that film in theaters and absolutely loving it, but I can only remember it's like the intro was just
yeah.
I agree, guys. It was one of those kind of like, was it early 2000s, like 2001 or 2 or something like that? Yeah, so it just kind of like it came and went, but yeah, it was a solid film. Yeah, so good pick, Kale.
I agree.
All right, Magda, your turn. You're up to bat now.
Right. I would say that the one I absolutely had to bring up is actually a Guillermo del Toro movie. And it's called The Devil's Backbone. Originally, El Espinazo del Diablo. It's in Spanish, because it's in Castilian Spanish. It takes place in Spain during the Spanish Civil War. So it's late 30s. And it's very atmospheric and it's very poetic. it takes place in a school where children are being kept from the dangers and the war that's going on, and it's being run by two of the rebels, so to speak, communists that are trying to stay away from the government and not be caught. And the situation is there a ghost or is there not a ghost? And if there is a ghost, why is there a ghost? And what's going to happen once you find out? And it's not gory, really. It's not especially scary exactly. It's just slow and creepy. And my favorite thing about the entire movie, it has to be the special effects. They are stunning to watch. When you finally see what exactly is going on, it's so heartrending and it's very emotional, and it's not your typical horror film exactly, but it's moving and it's lovely, and I can't even say it truly much about it without giving it away. I don't want to, because you should watch it. And if nothing else, if you've ever wanted to know what Castilian poetry sounds like, it's delicious listening to this English professor who reads poetry in Castilian Spanish, and it's just, oh god, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's dark. It's creepy. It's atmospheric and poetic, and it's just, it's lovely. But it's one of my favorites, and I haven't seen that many people that know it, or if they have, they say, "Oh, it's not really horror," but it's lovely. It's absolutely fabulous. I would definitely recommend it. The other
Can you
one
say
is
delicious one more time?
I was about to ask.
I know. Please say delicious.
again.
Just one more time.
delicious.
Oh, this is awesome.
God.
Whereas the other one that I chose is sort of on the opposite end of the spectrum. That's Frailty. Frailty.
Oh, Bill Paxton.
Oh, what I love about this one was it was one of these delightful things that you walk into thinking you know what it is that you're watching.
Yeah.
And you don't. You find out almost too late. You realize, oh no, that's not what I thought was going on at all. It's another psychological one. I love those. I love things that make you think. I love things that make you uncertain of where you are in the world while you're watching it. And this is definitely one of those. It's strange and once again slow burn, but watching it, Bill Paxton is absolutely terrifying in this movie, which you don't think of him as being scary exactly, but he's just a presence. He has such a presence in this movie that you can't look away. You can't wait to see what exactly is going on and what's going to happen.
Nice.
It's worthy of a night in and watching it. It's
I'm gonna have to watch that one. I've not seen that one.
It is phenomenal.
Matthew McConaughey is in it as well.
Yes.
And I mean,
yes.
He's great in the movie, but yeah, you're absolutely correct, Magda. Bill Paxton, it's his movie. It is 100% his movie. Yeah.
But honestly, Matthew McConaughey is so calmly unhinged during the entire. Yes. I know he does a wonderful job. I mean, you have those two actors pitted against one another in terms of telling the story, and it is probably one of the most phenomenal. I cannot tell you how much I love this movie. It is one of my absolute favorites.
There is so much tension in this movie that you just find yourself just every muscle in your body is just spring, ready to go because you don't know what's going to happen next. You just can see, just feel, taste the tension in this movie. It's definitely worth it.
Nice.
And something that I find very interesting with this movie is it's actually almost a period piece when you think about it, because it's set in the 1940s, 1950s.
Exactly.
Yes. And so you have this dynamic. Yeah. So you have this dynamic going back and forth, and the children that are in this movie. I do not know who the actors are right off the top of my head, but the children who are portraying them at a younger age, they're phenomenal.
Dave Mangley saying Frailty is one of his horror films.
Nice.
And he says, for Frailty, avoid spoilers at all costs.
Yes, we agree. That's what we've been trying to do.
As you can see,
very difficult.
You have to watch it to get the twist.
I have quite a thing
need the
for.
build-up.
I love historical movies in general. I love historical stories, but I find historical horror has a special taste to it that you can't do with modern ones, because
Oh, I
there's
agree.
situations that you can't do in modern times because it wouldn't make sense. But if you do
Mhm.
them in a historical basis, it makes sense and you're more willing to suspend disbelief.
Exactly.
Nice.
And a rarity, we get James Scott from across the pond. Hello, James.
Hello.
And he wants to know where you're from, Magda.
I am from Aberdeen, so I'm a Highland lass me.
Aberdeen.
Aye.
Oh, sorry. My Willie the groundskeeper. I gotta yell. Oh, well,
I know, it's quite lovely.
and Dale, you actually you had one other pick that
What
we
was my other
passed up.
pick?
Your other pick is The Grudge.
Oh,
Okay. All right, so we're going to talk about The Grudge because this is actually not something that a lot of people have not seen. It is not a unknown horror movie or an underground, underrated, underappreciated. It's just one of those horror movies that people talk about, and they talk about the same aspects of this horror movie that make me love it. This is the only movie that I have ever gotten up and walked away from in the theater.
Can we all do the
Interesting.
noise at the same time? Can we please? Does everyone know the noise?
Yeah. Okay. Yes. And that is absolutely the reason. So everybody that I have ever talked to about this movie, I'm not going to talk about the plot of the movie. I am not going to talk about any detail of this movie other than the fact that it absolutely plays on the sensory aspect of horror. And it's not something that we really think about, but those of us who have issues with sensory, those of us who have like issues with hearing, issues with, with height and flashing lights and everything. This is one of those movies that absolutely unnerves just about everybody I have ever commented on. And most of the time, all I have to say, and I think Kale, you jumped in on this. We were talking about when I mentioned The Grudge, you immediately went in and said it was the noise. And that was 100% what it was for me that made me get up and walk out of that. You have the anticipation because watching this movie the entire time, you see a certain character, that noise is going to come. And so you're already anxiety ridden. And it's and that's something that I find with Japanese horror is that it does play on sensory a lot of times, and it's very different in terms of imagery. But everybody that I have ever talked to about The Grudge generally tell me it's like, yeah, I watched it. It wasn't that scary. And then they go into this, but I hate that noise. I hate the creepy cat kid. It's like they start telling me how much they hate about this movie. And I'm like, this movie unnerved you. Do not tell me it did not. Because I'm hearing that. Yeah.
Have you ever seen the original Japanese Ju-on?
Oh yes.
Okay.
I have a tendency to lean towards Japanese or Asian based films, partly because I think cinematography is a lot more beautiful. I love the way that also ghosts are depicted. It's almost like, I think Lauren and I were talking about this recently. It's almost like they are possessed. It's almost like demons. And so what we know of ghost stories is very almost very calm and very serene, and it's not, it's very
as the
unnerving.
person goes walking behind.
I know, we're watching
in the background.
Thank you. Yeah, I was noticing that too.
What person?
I'm alone right now.
I'm by myself.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And to bring up an earlier topic, Dale, you asked me about zombie movies. One just popped in my head. This is not a Japanese film; it's a Korean film. But Train to Busan.
Yes.
Okay, I have never watched that one. I have been told by so many people. Okay, normally I do not like zombies at all. I don't like zombies. One of the original movies that creeped me out was George Romero. I mean, honestly, I mean his original movies were the things that creep me out the most, and I don't like the movement. I don't like the way it's presented, and I have never been a big fan. Honestly, I will watch Human Centipede, but don't show me a zombie.
Well,
I think it's more the fact that they're trapped and you can't get out, and you have nowhere to go to like avoid the infestation or the zombies, it's panic mode, because you literally have to put yourself into that mindset, like, what would I do in that situation if that really happened?
Oh, come on, like you don't already have a zombie plan. Everyone in this chat right now has a zombie plan for the apocalypse.
I'm dying.
We don't have a plan for chaos.
I literally have Max Brooks's handbook, so I'm good to go. First place I'm heading is a prison. That's all I'm saying. That's where I'm checking out.
If you like Asian-inspired horror films, but are like kind of iffy on zombies, then there's one on Netflix, and I'll have to look up the name of it. But they're stuck in the apartment across from each other.
Oh, okay.
And they use a drone to get the supplies.
Oh my God! And there's a dog.
I can't remember the name of it. Oh, I have to look it up now.
I'm asking Daryl. Hopefully he is watching, or Geek Gumshoe. If you are watching, please share that movie with us, because
I know
we know
exactly what movie you're talking about.
I do.
And at one point, like, they use a dog to go bring the person supplies.
Yes, they put it on his back, and then there's like this one cop who's like trying to get through, and then the zombies get her, and then they try to use the drone to get her gun. I thought it was a clever use of technology.
Mm-hmm.
And their phones, they use their phones. It shows how everybody's missing, and their phones come back on, and they like pinged, where are you missing? Where are this? I thought it was great to bring it into like a 21st century vibe and be like, what would happen if you got stuck today with all this technology around you? Gosh, I can't find the name because I'm just like zombie apartment drone movie.
When you started talking about,
that's what we do. Yeah, 100% what we do.
When you started talking about it, I thought you were talking about a TV show I watched recently on Netflix called Sweet Home, which, if you like Asian horror, it's a TV show, not a movie. And you could kind of, it's not zombies, it's more like monsters. Everyone turns into their own worst, whatever the thing is they want the most, they're gluttonous about whatever, they turn kind of into a monster of that. And
that's kind of cool.
And it's about these people stuck in this apartment building, and like, oh my gosh, it was so good. So
it's
good.
very
It's called
inventive.
Sweet Home.
Yeah, it's an inventive show.
I found it. It's actually called just Alive, #Alive, and it's from 2020 on Netflix.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Let's check that out. And answer your question, Magda, James is from Edinburgh. So there you go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so he's from Across the Pond Sports Radio, I think. James, correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But he's a friend. And Drayson Boyd saying he agrees with our comments about Asian horror, says he loves how spirits and the paranormal are depicted in both Japanese and Korean.
I agree.
So, yeah. Here we go. Dave said, first date night movie he took his wife to be out to was Frankenhooker.
Nice.
On a date?
On a date.
Well, I mean, if you're trying to get lucky.
Well, I mean.
And the actress who played Frankenhooker actually frequents cons. So a lot of the horror cons that I've been to this year, she has been a part of. And I'm hoping that our good friend Bronson can put us in touch with her like he did with Honey.
Oh,
I know. We love her.
And let's pause for a second, because folks, you got to tune back into Ice Cream Queens. What was it, 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, 2 weeks ago, they had the pleasure of having Honey the Mail Girl, the original mail girl of Joe Bob Briggs, on their show talking. It was awesome. Such a fun show. But yeah, I popped hardcore when you all announced that you got Honey. It's like,
no, we had a lot of people who were very excited to see it.
Yes.
I was about to say, I'm sure a lot of other people popped hardcore too.
There was one gentleman that was from our group that kept commenting over and over, and we're trying to find a way to get his phone number and her number together. So, Ryan, we're still working on you there. We're trying to help you out there, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, no disrespect to Darcy the Mail Girl, but she's done Honey. So I love Darcy, but yeah, she's not Honey. So but it was cool that they brought Honey on for Joe Bob's anniversary marathon that he did. So we actually had Honey and Darcy on at the same time. So it was kind of cool to get a little crossover there. So
absolutely amazing.
Yeah. The thing I remember most about Frankenhooker, not so much the movie, was the box of the video store. Because it had a little thing that you could press in there, and she would literally say, "Hey, want a date?" Sort of thing like that.
Want a date? Yeah.
Yeah, the box would talk to you. So.
I have that box. I don't know if it's
No
still
way.
I do. So back in the day, when like one of my first jobs is I actually worked for Blockbuster Video, and so there are so many. Why are you laughing, Lauren?
Because I was literally going to talk about Blockbuster Video when my movies came up, and I was going to be like, this shows my age. But now you're like, oh, I worked there.
No, I worked at Blockbuster Video, and let me tell you, I saw movies come out like Nightmare Before Christmas. I have one of the original posters that was in Blockbuster Video.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I have all kinds of stuff that's like upstairs. Is probably like beat all to hell and back by now, but yes, that the Frankenhooker box, I have one. I don't know if it still talks, but yes, I do.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah, for years I worked at a movie theater, and they had like these like matte printed movie posters like done like it's like displays like around the wall, the hallways of the theater, and one of them was the infamous Little Mermaid penis poster. Like,
oh my gosh!
And we
I have that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like we never got rid of that poster. It hung in the theater for as long as that place was open. And when it closed, there was like 6 of us bidding on this thing, trying to get it. And it ended up going to somebody else that just had deeper pockets because they were auctioning stuff off. But yeah, I really like, I'm not a Disney fan, but I so wanted that. I mean, literally, like, if you've never seen this, it was the original box art for The Little Mermaid. It was the original poster art that was released. And in the background, there's the Poseidon's castle. But it's literally, it's not like, it's not like, that kind of looks like, no, it looks like a penis. It just
straight up dongs, y'all.
Oh, no. Honestly, and the artist actually said that it was intentionally drawn as a penis. The center of the castle. No, I actually have the original artwork as well on like a movie poster. No, I have that. I really do.
I'm sorry, I'm just laughing because Disney always makes like the castles into attractions at Disney World or whatever. Can you imagine if they did
Welcome
the original
to the penis castle?
Yeah, Ariel's castle.
We learned a little more about Ariel today than we really needed to know.
Well, I mean, she found
That's why she wanted the legs.
That's why
she's got many gasbits and gizmos, aplenty.
They vibrate too.
Oh, I love it. That's great. All right.
Look at this stuff. Isn't it neat?
All right. Before we go off any more tangents, Lauren, you're on deck now.
Hi. All right. So let's start off with the cube, or cube as it's known. Sorry, not the cube.
Just cube.
So I used to go to Blockbuster as a child, and I would rent this on repeat.
Sorry.
I was the kid who would go and I would rent like every single horror movie because I wanted to see them all, and then I would find the few that I liked, and they would just be my repeat ones. And Cube was one of my repeats. It was so good. And so today, maybe while I was working,
I'm not telling.
I found the Cube online. By the way, it is free with ads right now on YouTube. And you can put that on like ×4 fast forward and watch the movie in fast motion. So I watched the movie today while at work, slightly fast forwarded. So it's very funny to be like, oh my God, what are you doing? I'm doing this. You know, stuff like that. I have forgotten how good of an opening sequence this movie has, though. Like, it starts off with you wake up, there's a guy, he wakes up, he's in the cube. You have no idea what is happening. You just know there's a dude in a box. All right. What's going on? There's doors on the wall. He's opening up the doors. There's different cubes on the other sides of the cube. He goes in one and suddenly, whack, out of nowhere, and he just falls apart into pieces.
Like shatters?
Like shatters into cubes.
Oh, yeah.
Himself. One of the best opening scenes, like other than I think Ghost Ship had a really good opening sequence, kind of like that.
Yeah.
One of the best opening sequences I have ever seen in a movie, and it dragged me in right there. The movie is there's some psychological horror aspects because the guy who's supposed to be the hero, he's the cop. But then he's the one who ends up like, spoiler alerts. I don't do that, by the way. I'm going to spoil things. So if you don't want to hear it, don't listen to me.
It's been out for 20 years. Come on.
Okay.
So the person who's supposed to be the person saving everyone, and he's the leader at the beginning, and he's figuring everything out, he ends up being the one to slowly go mad and be the villain in the end. You end up with the guy who's like, oh, he's the smart one. Look, like he robbed banks and whatever. He was like an escape artist. Nope, first dead. Congratulations. Like, bye. You have the mathematician, you have the doctor, you have like all of these really good characters. There's the guy who, oh no, I don't know why I'm here. Maybe I helped build the cube.
Maybe.
And then there's this character who pops in like halfway through the film. You think you have all of the characters. Some of them even died off at this point. And another character falls in, and he is handicapped. He is a little bit special when it comes to he's on the spectrum.
Yep.
And so they're like, oh God, this guy, we're gonna have to drag this guy. And they're acting like, especially the cop, he's like, oh no, the weak link, you know, we're gonna have to drag this guy along. He turns out to be a mathematical genius. And the cube numbers are, each one they're in has a specific number as to what position of the cube they're in, and they have to figure out the formula. Lots of suspense and trying to figure out what's going on and where they are and in the cube, and just the people trying to talk to each other, and you can see the tensions slowly rise, and like you can see these people are kind of banding together against this person because they're both like, man, this guy's kind of losing it. And then the end of this movie where the only person to make it out is the one who showed up halfway through the film, and everyone else who's been fighting for him, who's been fighting to drop him, who's been fighting this entire time, they all end up fighting to their deaths, and he's the one guy to make it.
So the underdog. So the underdog makes it.
Yes, and it is. Oh my God, I have goosebumps right now, y'all.
Basically, everybody else in the cast gets involved in their own drama and infighting and backstabbing, wherever else. He's the only one that's actually fighting the cube itself.
Yes, and you know what? Okay, so
escape room gone wrong.
Even more of a spoiler alert now. I'm going to bring it all the way back around.
Okay, go ahead.
The last cube movie that I ever saw. You did not realize it until the very end, because the entire movie is about a guy, and he's one of the guys who's watching the cameras, and he's watching the cube play out, and he falls for one of the girls in the cube, and he's trying to help her out, and all the way up until the end, when they realize that like he's trying to help him, and he's messing up the system, and they knock him down, and they drill into his brain, and like do some surgery on his brain, all the way up until the end of this movie. And then he wakes up and he's in the cube, and he is the guy from the first movie who comes in halfway through, the one to survive from the first movie. It's a prequel, and they don't even freaking tell you it until the end of the movie when you're like, holy crap, that is that guy. So really great series. There's multiple in between the first and the last one. Yeah. They all build upon each other, and it's this universe that just it grows. One of my biggest recommendations, and very B movie too. There was not a big budget on this. They really went for it when it came to effects. Like we have a fun acid eating face that is great. They don't use CG or any of that. No computer stuff. It's all puppetry, and so it looks like it's there. Highly recommend.
They were made and released in Canada initially, so that's why there's not a lot of recognizable faces. So
I have been told, if you are a Saw fan, I have been told that if you like that type of the movie where you are having to defeat a room, defeat the trap, that this is one of those movies that you will really truly enjoy.
Now, I went off on a tangent there. We're actually over time at this point. I have one more. I'm sorry.
No. We need to talk about the one more.
I I was gonna say you got one more than I got my two, but no, sometimes we go an hour, sometimes I go an hour and a half, sometimes I go an hour and 45 minutes. So the Fanatic Forum, there are no rules. So
good.
Please,
we have rules.
Continue.
Okay, well, my second pick I hadn't seen since I was a child. It is Near Dark.
One of my favorites.
Auntie was a big avid movie collector, and she knew I was into horror, so she was like, "Yeah, I'll pick out a couple movies, take them home, watch them. You can borrow." And that is how I found Near Dark, and it became one of my favorite horror movies. But did you know this thing is freaking impossible to find online? I looked everywhere.
Really is.
I looked bloody everywhere. I wanted to rent it. You can't rent it. I wanted to. We have so many streaming services. Surely one of them had. Nope, none of them had this damn movie. I ended up having to post a thing on my private Facebook and being like, "Hey guys, so does anyone have a copy of this?" And one of my friends was just like, "I've got you." And I'm like, "I'm not gonna ask questions. Cool.
Just send me a link."
Yeah. So DL and I, we had a movie night with my hubby Joey, and who had never seen the movie, and it had been years, like since I was a very youngin', since I had seen it. So I missed what you said. What did you just say?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I want to say, watching Joey the roadie watch this movie was the best thing ever. He was like that the entire time. It was hilarious to watch him. But
he's very animated. Yeah, something happens. He's like, the whole time. And if anyone can't see because they're listening on podcast, that was me making a bunch of weird gasping faces.
Yeah.
I don't think it's on Blu-ray, at least not in the States. I think or they've put out like some limited edition, but it's not widely, it's out of print right now. You can still find it on DVD. It's a little pricey though, but it's a crime. But the fun facts about this movie, of course, directed by Catherine Bigelow. So this is a few years before she did Point Break, and of course about 15 years before she wins an Oscar for The Hurt Locker. But yeah, basically she was still actually married to James Cameron at the time she made this film. This is, female director, just beautiful film. Tangerine Dream score is just surreal. But another fun fact, this is a vampire movie, and the word vampire is never said once in the entire movie.
No, they just use a lot of blood and murder people, Yeah. Well, regular normal people stuff.
And they're not even like fanged vampires. They have
they are.
They
are they?
Yeah.
They're not like the prominent like Lugosi.
Oh yeah, it's not like
no. There were a couple of scenes specifically when May took off after.
That's right.
Yeah, there were a couple of scenes where you saw them, but it wasn't prominently featured by any means.
Yeah, they're very, very subtle there.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was very. They almost wanted you to think this was like a drug thing. Like he runs off with these guys, and it's obviously vampires, but they wanted you to be able to kind of see it through the dad's eyes, who's hunting down his son he goes hunting down his like older son with this child, with his daughter, like a little girl. Oh yeah, honey, let's go hit the road and look for these fugitives who kidnapped our son. That's very safe.
Great dad.
Sounds like a plan.
Great plan. Well, I mean, maybe he had no one else to watch her, and he had to go look first. There's excuses, and you can come up with a reason to validate it, but at the same time, it's kind of one of those like,
really?
It's the 80s. No one cares.
Yeah. And honey, someone just kidnapped your brother. Why don't you go outside by yourself in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. and get a Coke from the Coke machine? It's cool. It's fine.
Sounds like a plan. That's a good plan.
Yeah. Great movie. There's like the bar scene came up and we had the best time. DL was just sitting there like, this scene! This is the best scene! Like, she was so excited.
Yeah. Oh, you have no idea.
And
the worst thing about it is it's not even the scene that I was thinking about, but I remember actually, there was like a totally different movie that I was thinking about. And then this scene comes up and I'm like, oh my God, but I still love this movie so much. I love this scene so much. Okay.
It's a very good scene. My favorite character was Homer, which I don't know if any of y'all have ever seen Teen Witch, very 80s movie. super 80s. There's even like a rap battle with a girl who cannot rap in the middle of the movie. Like she's sitting there like, yeah, I'm gonna say things on the camera, and you're like, oh baby, please stop. Damn.
There's a beat in there somewhere.
Yeah. The little annoying brother from that movie is the vampire kid from this movie.
And he's amazing.
And he is so good. In Teen Witch, you want to like, he plays the annoying brother very well. He's so good. So good. So good actor, because he can do this creepy vampire thing and also this like annoying bratty child to a T. Oh God, what was your favorite character? DL, help me.
Severin. I'm sorry, Diamondback. I'm sorry.
Diamondback.
I immediately when you said the bar scene, I immediately went to Bill Paxton and the Spurs. I was having a moment. I was just like,
yeah, that was
no. I'm sorry. Diamondback is, from the word go, Diamondback has always been my favorite my favorite character in this movie, just because, I mean, first, it's that just really twisted, dark, maternal aspect of her.
She kind of reminds me of Firefly from
the House
of a Thousand Corpses. Yeah.
Yes. I can see that.
A little bit, yeah.
So the whole time I'm sitting there like, God, I recognize her. And I wasn't saying it out loud. I was just thinking it. And then my husband Joey's like, I recognize her from something. And I'm like,
Vasquez.
Thank you. And Bishop. Vasquez and Bishop in the same movie.
Also, I had to Google her because I was not putting it together. And in my Googling, the first thing I came up with, okay, so here's a really fun sad, okay? You ready for the sad?
Okay.
The Titanic movie. When the Titanic starts sinking and there's the mom with the two kids and the water's rushing in and she's laying the kids down and she's like, it's okay, love, just go to sleep. You'll wake up and there'll be green fields and whatever else the hell she was saying. I don't remember, but that mom, same freaking actress.
Yep.
Yeah. Total chameleon. Total chameleon.
She looks different in every role. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember her last name. It's Jeanette something. I can't remember her last name. But yeah.
We just call her Diamondback.
Well, the interesting thing is that basically Near Dark was barely a year after Cameron did Aliens. And so you had Henriksen, Jeanette was in there, Bill Paxton was in there. And so since basically, Catherine was kind of involved in the behind the scenes stuff with Aliens, that's how she got all three of them for Near Dark. So.
Wow. It's such a big name cast for such a B horror movie. Also, can we just talk about the end real quick? Okay, so like the guy goes and he's like, oh no, I'm going to get a blood transfusion. Poof, I'm not a vampire anymore. Yay. And like, it kind of makes a little sense because he never fed off of a human. Like, maybe the transition didn't fully transition. Okay, fine. But then at the end, he's like, let me murder your entire family you've been living with for the past few years because, and also, surprise, while you were passed out, I gave you a blood transfusion and you're not a vampire anymore either. And you're going to die a human life and have old age. Congratulations. I would be pissed. She's all like, oh, the sun. And it's like happy music at the end. I'd be like, what did you do?
I mean, I know. You'd be waking up like, is that a freaking wrinkle on my face? You jackass.
Come on.
Anyway, so yes, Near Dark, great horror movie. Was a little slower than I do remember as a child, but still quite worthy of watching.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna say Lance Henriksen. Lance Henriksen is amazing in anything he is in, and I have followed him his entire career. And he's one of those people who came into the Hollywood scene already aged. And I just absolutely, there's just something about him that I have adored and I have followed all my life. I was a huge Millennium fan. So,
that's a good show.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love that show so much. But anything that he is in, I'm going to watch. It's like, you have Pumpkinhead, which that was another that I think that a lot of people don't really have a lot of respect for. Pumpkinhead is an amazing movie, in my opinion.
Yes, especially the first one, but yeah.
Oh, there's more than one because I stopped there.
That's
three. That's my general rule of thumb is that the first one was intended, the next two generally through next 2 through 10. we're not.
If it's any consolation, Lance is not in any of the sequels. So
Fair. That explains why I never watched them.
There you are. Years back, I got to meet Lance Henriksen because he came the TV station I worked for. I think it was like some kind of film festival, and he was being honored or something like that. So he came by the morning show and got interviewed. So I got to chit chat with him for a little bit before he was on the show, and we talked about Near Dark. And even though he's like, yeah, we were out in the desert, it kind of, that wasn't great, but he's like, the experience was still, they had a wonderful time. The cast got along really well, and it was a movie like everybody was invested in. So he's like, yeah, it's great to talk with fans about that particular one because that's one like everybody was in on. We really wanted this thing to be, big, and it wasn't. And then barely 6 to 9 months later, friggin' Lost Boys comes out, and it's basically the same movie except it's a dumbed down version. It's like you got the intellectual, more artistic Near Dark, and then Surfer Boy over here with the Coreys. Which granted, Lost Boys is fun. I can't say I hate it, but it's like when you want to compare the two.
I do love Lost Boys. And actually, it was kind of interesting because we were watching Near Dark, and I didn't realize that Near Dark was prior to Lost Boys. And there was a scene in that movie that we were like, oh, yeah, when they came up on the ridge of the mountain. Yeah, the ridge of the mountain, the ridge of the hill. That was 100%. I'm like, oh, that could be easily Jesse and his crew, or it could be David and his crew. It was the same scene, and you recognize the parallels. But of course, we were looking at it thinking initially, oh, did that copy
Lost
Boys?
Nod? Is that a nod to
Is
Lost
that a
Boys?
nod? No. And now it's nice to hear that it was the other way around, that actually those type of scenes would have been sweaty. No, it is not. But yes, Near Dark did not have the sweaty saxophone guy. We're going to call him the sexy saxophone guy.
Yeah. Well, he's also very sweaty too. But yeah.
Yeah, he was.
And Joey the Roadie does point out that he is still on tour to this day. Matter of fact, he was in Louisville like 6 months ago. I missed him. I wanted to actually go see him. But yeah, Tim, I can't remember his last name is, but yeah. Capella, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, he came to Black Lodge around here recently too.
Yes, he did.
Really, it was a good turnout for the show too. I mean, there's a lot of folks out there who still believe. So there you go.
We had a wonderful guest on Ice Cream Queens. It's been probably like a year or two ago now, where the David Bowie impersonator. He's a friend of yours, Lauren. Serious Moonlight, and he actually was able to he was doing one of those David Bowie legend type, or not legend,
tribute bands.
Labyrinth.
Oh yes.
Wait, I'm like saying legend. Okay, anyway. So yeah, he was in a tribute band, and Dave Capella actually was on tour, so he got to perform with him, and he was talking about how amazing of an experience it was. But also, just kind of heads up, if you have not seen or found Serious Moonlight is his name on TikTok or Instagrams or wherever, all of the places that he is a David Bowie impersonator, and he sings, and he is, oh my god, he's so phenomenal.
And he does Jareth from the Labyrinth very well. That's his main one that he does, but he does do a lot of different looks as well.
I'm a sucker for Bowie things, so
aren't we all?
Yeah. Have you guys seen Moon Age Daydream, the documentary film that just came out? Was it late last year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing movie. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Okay. A couple of comments. Got to get some here. I love this one from Dave here. Referencing earlier, we thought we were overtime. So, no, welcome to the Fanatic Club. If this is your first night, you have to Fanatic. So, talk about other vampire movies. Dave brings up that he also liked John Carpenter's Vampires.
I agree. That's a great. Oh, that was a great franchise. By the way, I just want to say that I had the opportunity to meet John Carpenter at Texas Frightmare. Oh yes, it was absolutely amazing. So, more so than that, I just want to go ahead and comment. My youngest daughter was with us, and she had built this. So she has a saw contraption, and he's not very animated when he interacts with people now, as you can imagine. No. He's a little older gentleman, But when he saw Arya walk up with that, she had a reverse
jaw,
bear.
reverse
Yeah,
bear
that yeah, she had the reverse bear
the
trap.
reverse bear trap. Oh,
Yeah, his
that's cool.
although it wasn't even his franchise, his eyes lit up and he smiled and he paid attention to her. And I just have to admit, at this point, he is absolutely my favorite person in the world now.
That's
Maybe
so cool.
outside of Art the Clown, who's sang to her, but that's okay. That's a different story.
Yeah, there are 3 directors that basically, like, before I die, I want to meet them. Romero was one, Carpenter is another, Tarantino would be the third. But yeah, I've grew up on Carpenter basically ever since I've been in a movie, so it's like he's my guy. So
Yes.
yeah, of course I follow his music and all that good stuff. So yeah, that's so. Oh, I'm so jelly you got to meet Carpenter. That's so cool. Let's see here. Dave's got another vampire movie, From Dusk Till Dawn.
Do we need to do a show on vampire movies? Have
Yes.
we already done that?
Yes. No. And no, I agree. We need to do a show on vampire movies because it is something that everybody in every era loves, and they have one that they connect to. And I mean, those of us who grew up probably connect. Like I know Magda and I connect to Anne Rice. That is the era in which we grew up. But like my oldest daughter, who is in like her late 20s, early 30s now, she grew up with Twilight. And as much as I don't like the movies, I do have to appreciate that it did kind of lean into that genre, and it created something for her that she can kind of feel attached to. Yes.
Sure. Well,
I'm sorry. My children are like, Mom, I'm dying. I'm starving. So I'm going to get us back onto topic here because we're going to go dinner after this.
Okay.
And they're waiting on me.
Okay. Well, I've got my picks here. So we'll move on. And interestingly enough, I picked 2 remakes, or one's kind of a remake sequel sort of thing here. But my first one here, 2006's remake of The Hills Have Eyes. This is, of course, directed by Alexander Aja. This was his first American film. He had made a name for himself with his film in France, Haute Tension, or my French is terrible, but High Tension, basically a fantastic movie. If you haven't checked that out, but a very female-led horror film, kind of taking a little bit of the being chased by a weird old crazy guy and kind of turning that genre on its head, very much so. But yeah, so highly recommend checking that out. But this remake, I think, is a very superior, almost superior to the original. Of course, the original was Wes Craven's Hills Have Eyes. It was Craven's second film, interestingly enough, after Last House on the Left. I think the remake takes far more serious of the material because you get a little bit more of the background of the desert that the family is traveling through and trying to get to their vacation spot. Like there was a lot of nuclear testing going on around that area, and there were miners who lived in that area that refused to leave even after they started bombing, and the people who lived there basically became mutated and inbred and yada yada yada. And so basically you kind of start getting the feeling that these seemingly innocent, vacationers or whatnot are walking right into a death trap. And that's exactly what happens. One by one, family members are getting picked off in very gruesome ways. And it's far more gruesome in this one than it was in the original film. The gore is very much turned up, I think, for this one. But the cinematography, I thought, was fantastic. You feel like you're in a desert. You feel grimy and gritty, and it's, they get that down. But I think also kind of some of the things they kind of, you got different cast members who have you got the dad who's like the alpha male. He's a retired cop, and he's the indestructible one, so to speak, and things like that. And then you've got the son-in-law who's basically the wiener, and he ends up having to make the turn of being the tough guy. But
did you just say wiener?
Yes, he is a total wiener.
Okay, all right, that's what I thought I heard. But okay, go ahead.
Yeah, just complete milk toast wimp. You want to kill him the moment you see him, and then of course he ends up being the savior, sort of thing like that. But I think just far more brutal film than the original, especially kind of midway through the movie, basically when the attack starts getting turned up, and you've got the youngest daughter, the oldest daughter, and the mother who are trapped in the trailer with two of the crazy hill people, and just the absolute tension in that scene before things start breaking out is really, really well done. So
we refer to that as redneck cannibals in our neck of the woods here.
yeah,
Okay. Redneck cannibals. By the way, I'm sorry. And I honestly want to comment. I was making faces the entire time that you were talking about it because I am a. No, not you, not you, not you. I was talking about me when he was talking about it was superior to the original. And I'm not saying that it wasn't by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think that a lot of people have a hard time. Those of us who have watched the original, we have a hard time getting past the fact that Michael Berryman was in the original movie. Yeah. Michael Berryman is absolutely one of the most phenomenal people that I have ever encountered in my life. Lauren, you were with me. When we went? It was at one of the horror cons. I think it was in Tupelo, Mississippi.
From the Hillside Eyes.
Michael Berryman from we met. We had the opportunity.
Giant, tall guy, bald.
Yeah. I mean, he was probably one of the most.
I mean, he wasn't the one who was like dancing with Deadpool, spanking us, but he was there.
That was. Why do you bring these things up? Please stop.
Because they were all in the same section.
That was not Michael Berryman. Michael Berryman was no. Michael Berryman was the one that was talking about
unicorn, the fluffy unicorn outfit. Are we having different memories?
I'm trying to talk about how wonderful Michael Berryman is.
He is very wonderful.
He was talking about swimming with dolphins, and he was such an inspiration. And you're over here talking about damn Deadpool and a unicorn and
it was the wrestler guy who was next to him, and he was back there when we were taking the photos, laughing when the photos were being taken. Like he was like, haha, it's so funny. And that's why we have Deadpool and the guy in the fluffy unicorn outfit and spanking.
And if you remember correct, we were riding Deadpool, not the unicorn.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Never mind. But no, that was not the intention of that comment. That was not at all. I was wanting just
that's where my brain does the memory things.
Stop. I was just thinking about Michael Berryman.
Sorry.
And how wonderful he is.
He's great.
Okay, never mind. I stopped.
This is how my memories work, okay? It's like a fun, and the whole time I'm standing
walking
here in a corset, 6 months pregnant.
Oh yeah. Oh god, yeah. I am walking chaos. You have to be sane. This is not how this works.
No. Well, please don't make me the sane one. Well,
Kale and I are throwing off the three here, so we're adding some extra stuff here. So your all's beat just kind of is a little unhinged right now. But that's okay.
We're always
unhinged. We like the unhinged things here on the LFF.
Okay. Sorry, Magda's face when you were like, Magda, are you the sane one? And she was just like,
Never ever.
Oh, I just swallowed an ice cube. Okay.
No, but you're right, Dale. Michael Berryman is fantastic, a great guy, and frankly, I think he's probably one of the best things of the original because there's not that many great performances, so he does stand out very much. It's his movie.
And I think that's why people have a tendency to lean towards the original version versus the remake is because you have such an icon like Michael Berryman who is in that movie, who is not only just in the movie, but he is the cover art for the movie. He is the poster for the movie. He is 100% what that movie is.
Yeah.
But he's such a beautiful person. Absolutely phenomenal, beautiful person. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen him. I've never met him in person, but I've seen him in interviews. Yeah, he's just such a lovely guy. So, Jason Boyd Cumming said, "Hills Have Eyes remake, the bloodbath in the RV still makes him queasy, but in a good way." Yeah, that's an intense scene there. So
something makes you queasy in a good way. They hit it hard. Good job.
Got him right in the jejunum. All right. My last film here, and this is this one. I find it difficult to classify this as a remake because it is also sort of a sequel. It does carry on the legacy of the original film, but it does take it in a new direction, and that is 2022's Candyman.
That's a good
That's
one. That's a good one. It's not what I thought your pick was going to be.
No, it was not what I was thinking.
Yeah, no, this is directed by Nia DaCosta. This again, like it, there's plenty of gore in this Candyman film, but it all is also a little bit restrained. It very much leans into the mythology of the Candyman, because it wasn't just Tony Todd's character. Like basically, this movie goes into the extremely ugly history of violence upon African American men in this country, and how we do horrible things to them because of the color of their skin, and we don't like the way they do things or live or whatever else. So we torture them in horrific ways, and then we are surprised when their ghost comes back to kill our children. So, that's how this stuff happens, folks. You torture people, they come back as ghosts, and this is real. This happens.
And can I just say, it's really nice to see someone touch base on that, because so many horror films, it's white person did white person to white person, and then white person dies. Or like suddenly they kill the gay or the black character. But it's always like very centric in the history of white. And Candyman is a really nice break from that.
Well, honestly, even the original Candyman with Tony Todd was a nice break from that, because although it didn't really touch on it so much, and it kind of glazed over, in my opinion, in the first movie, but the second movie, what Farewell to the Flesh, set in New Orleans, and it was really, in my opinion, it really focused more on the ethnicity of that movie, and it was, but yeah, I'm sorry, I want. That's on my watch list, and I absolutely
haven't seen that one yet.
No, I adore
Movie
the
night.
Candyman. Yeah, I know, and I love the Candyman franchise so much, absolutely so much. But once again, I am partial to the Tony Todd version, and I'm partial to Tony Todd. Just period.
When I saw the original Candyman in like other horror movies, just as little cameo. Oh crap! What is it? Death is Trying to Kill You horror movies. My brain is blanking on me.
Final Destination.
Thank you. He popped up in the Final Destination movies as like the guy who works in the grave. I was like, it's good. And by the way, we got to meet him. Not really meet. We were at a horror con. And it was before the booths had opened up for people to like go do the meet and greet. And he was sitting at one of his booths, and someone across from him had all of these cool little string lights and like Reese's cups all over their booth for people to come and talk to them. They weren't a celebrity or anything. They were just there to like hang out, maybe sell stuff or something. I don't even know whose booth it was.
Reese's.
But he like snuck out, literally like hunched over, sneaking on tippy toes over to this booth and like stole some Reese's, and he was like, I've got the Reese's, and took like a selfie with the string lights up on his face and everything, and then like ran back to his booth with the Reese's like, victory! It was the greatest thing.
Okay, first of all, which con was it? And so basically you're telling me if I need to bribe Tony Todd to be my friend,
bring him Reese's?
Bring him Reese's. So, because that's one of the things that I'm finding out.
Really,
It was Texas Frightmare.
Thank you.
2 or 3 years ago. I don't know, whenever my youngest dressed up as Annabelle and went to the convention with me as Tiffany Valentine.
Oh,
that's cool.
And and we also did Scooby-Doo because, anyway, sorry, I'm monopolizing the conversation. Continue.
Oh, you're good. Yeah. But like I said, this film, like I said, really touches on a lot of history of race relations, of the kind of the history of the Capri Green neighborhood in Chicago, which actually does still exist. It has been gentrified, but there are still some areas that have not been. That's how they're able to film there. But it's just such a fascinating film, and I love the whole thing too. How basically, it's more of a, it's not like we're trying to summon Candyman sort of thing. This is almost kind of like a metamorphosis sort of film. And I don't want to spoil anything too much for you, DL, but I would say probably one of my favorite parts of the film, and probably one of the most haunting, are the end credits, and stay through the entire end credits.
Okay. Yeah.
Have
you not seen it yet?
End credits. I didn't watch the end credits.
Oh, okay.
You see, stay all because it's there's not like a special extra scene. It's literally there's something going on during the end credits that is just fascinating and haunting.
Oh, I love that.
So,
all right, so I could have sworn you were going to talk, or somebody. I could have sworn somebody was going to talk about 13 Ghosts.
Oh no, I thought Cabal. I thought
an underrated.
Nightbreed.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Well, we were talking Nightbreed, so I had to bring up another Clive Barker property. And interestingly enough, if this tempts you even further to see this, Clive Barker really enjoyed the '90s Candyman film. He said it was great, whatever else. But when he saw this one, he's like, "That's my book."
Oh wow!
Really?
Okay.
Wow.
He's
okay.
like,
Good to know.
He's like, there's obviously different things because the kind of the plot of the first movie follows a little bit of Farewell to the Flesh, but he's like basically like the tone of the film, the basically because Clive is not a minority, but he being a homosexual, he's probably faced his fair share of scrutiny and evil and whatever else in the world. So he's very sensitive. He would obviously be sensitive to that sort of thing. So that's what a lot of the story mirrors. And the newer Candyman gets that way much more.
Nice.
How did I miss that Candyman was a Clive Barker property? I don't know why I never put the two together.
I hadn't either. I've never read it. So I've never picked up the book. It was always like it was one of those, if you're gonna be a horror kid in the 80s, 90s, you watch Freddy Krueger, Jason, Halloween movies. And in there with like Child's Play and Leprechaun, there was Candyman. You put it in there with Hellraiser and like you've got a fun party mix.
Well, that really makes me want to go watch it now. The fact that he has kind of put his stamp of approval and said, "This is my book," because that's one of the things that I really have a tendency to gravitate to is when there is purity in what is being created on screen.
Yeah, when you all talk about Anne Rice, when everybody was having their Anne Rice craze in the late '80s and the '90s, nothing against Anne Rice. I read the vampire books and a few of her other stuff, but I was really way into Clive. So he was my basically like Clive Barker, H.P. Lovecraft. That was my high school reading. So
I think that the Anne Rice, I think that the 80s, 90s Anne Rice craze was not necessarily just the books themselves, but it was living the lifestyle for those of us. And Magda, please correct me if I'm wrong. You were part of that that group that kind of moved around like within the New Orleans area, and part of that whole vampire culture. I mean, I think that you and I were both very heavily ingrained in that.
Well, as you know, I have a slight extra added amount of vampirism. With I have a genetic disorder called erythropoietic protoporphyria, and it makes me highly sensitive to sunlight. So I can't be in it. It's literally deadly to me. So I've only half jokingly called myself a vampire my entire life, simply because I cannot be in sunlight. It'll literally kill me if I get enough of it. So that's part of why this past week was a bit less of a joy for me, because I got a bit overexposed earlier in the week and I've been paying for it since. So I think I just sort of gravitated towards the vampire concept because I was already halfway there.
Well, and for those of us who live that kind of lifestyle, it creates a sense of decadence, and it is a sense of normalcy to those of us who don't really get the opportunity to be out in the sunlight. Mine was more lifestyle choices, more so than not being able to go out in the sun. But it creates a sense of normalcy, and you are able to connect with people within that culture that really just kind of made you feel whole.
Sure.
And also vampires have that the literary connection is more of a Victorian sort of thing, and my affection for historical things and Victoriana in particular, so it just sort of flowed nicely into my life.
Well, and then it helped too. Basically, like in the mid to late '80s, you had kind of the goth movement start up. That they all, pretty much, if you you had like your goth kits, like black lipstick, chain choker, an Anne Rice novel, and a Cure record. So it was that was your starter kit for everybody. Susie, yeah, Susie. There you go. Yeah, my wife would say, well, she's a Cure fan too, but yeah, she would say Susie or something.
Both.
But yeah, so that kind of just bled right into each other. And then kind of the 90s, you had kind of this spring of culture and acceptance of some different lifestyles. Not everybody just yet, but some different lifestyles were starting to be accepted in the 90s. So you started seeing more hip hop culture influence things. You started seeing more goth culture influence things and whatever else. So this all just kind of bled right into each other. So yeah, it was just like a perfect, time frame of everything. So that may have helped with some van success. All right. Well, I think we have gone on long enough. What do you all think?
Yeah. I think we.
Here.
Sorry,
some of us need to eat dinner still. No. I'm like sitting there going, I've had a glass of wine. I think I need dinner to go with that now.
Yeah,
I've had like 2 drinks here, and I need to pee. That's my children are starving, and I need to pee.
Yes, you have little ones to take care of, and yeah, I mean, I've been standing up for you for like an hour and 40 minutes now, so it's like, yeah, probably, sit down, I guess, so. But I've been having a blast with you all, so thank you all so much for coming in here tonight.
Thank you for having us on.
We enjoyed it. We're sorry we're such chaos. We can't help that. That's pretty much.
We pick a little, talk a little, pick a little, talk a little.
Oh,
you know what? Like I said, I know the show. I knew exactly what I was inviting into the forum here, so no apologies needed whatsoever. Yeah. So
you invited the vampires in on your own.
I invited the vampires in. I busted out the Ouija board. I broke the salt line.
Oh, I thought he was going to say busted out the something else. I busted out the something.
And that's maybe give me about 10 minutes.
Wrong state.
Whoops. Sorry. Ouija.
I mean, I'm in Kentucky. You can take care of that pretty quick. Yeah. I don't need to look real hard,
I'm sorry. I'm cringing at the whole he busted out the Ouija board. Don't get me started.
Oh, well, anyway. So first off, let's plug before I release you all. So Kale, where can we find you?
Just about every platform at Creepy Kale. Oh, it's this way. Creepy Kale.
And of course, you got to tune in on Sundays to Cryptid Crunch to see more of Kale talk with Willow about cryptozoology, monsters, real things, possibly real things. We don't know, but yeah, so very cool show.
Well, this Sunday we're doing the story of Roanoke. So if anybody's familiar with that legend and all of the curses,
the lost colony of Roanoke.
Around that,
is that a cryptid?
That's gonna be a good one.
It's not really accepted, but no. To ask, no.
I guess like legends are. I don't know. I'll have
like spooky and like ghost stuff too. We don't really have
okay. Kind of like us. They don't really stay on topic.
I
do
know
we have
that.
a topic? That's us. That's our thing.
Dave Manning says he played poker with a tarot deck. He got a full house before people died.
Yeah.
Oh, now tarot. That's okay. We're fine with tarot. It's just not Ouija.
Yeah.
I have my tarot cards right there. I can get them. No, sorry. Anyway, we're plugging. That didn't sound Continuing.
And
Lauren.
Course, if you want to find Lauren, Magda, and DL, then of course you have to tune into Ice Cream Queens. But individually, Lauren, where can we find you?
Hi, I am Lauren Knight, also known as Geeky Gothic Gamer Girl. You can find me on everywhere. Yes, that is the place everywhere. Mostly TikTok, Instagram, some Facebook, and as he lovingly said, back off. You're a 5-year-old. You're not allowed on the show. I love you. As he lovingly said, on Ice Cream Queens, where I am one of the hosts.
That's right. And of course, Lauren's so awesome that celebrities follow her on social media.
They do.
It's not the other way around.
They do. Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Magda, where can we find you?
I'm a seamstress, so you can find my creations, Crafty Goth Creations, on Instagram and see what I make there, as well as see me occasionally, not always, on Ice Cream Queens.
Oh, by the way,
DL.
if you have never seen her creations, they are the most incredible things. When I talk about quilts that look like photographs, I'm just going to leave it there. Okay. Where can you find me? Please don't. That would be stalking, and we don't really do that here, do we? Now, but if you are a stalker and you are trying to find me for some reason, you can find me at Geeky Gothic Gamer Girl sometimes on a TikTok. Sorry. Mostly you can find me at DL Memphis on every platform, coming and going. Just don't expect me to talk because I will think you're a stalker. Okay, fair.
Of course, Ice Cream Queens, and also if you want to hear the lovely DL, her lovely vocal pipes, you need to check out the Murdering Crows on Spotify, Apple, wherever you stream music. So there you go.
Yes.
And also we need to plug when actually does Ice Cream Queens air, because James from Across the Pond Network needs to know.
Yes. So James from Across the Pond, we would like to share with you that we air on the 2nd and 4th Sunday of every month. And we are partnered more or less with Cryptid Crunch, and they are on the 1st and 3rd. And then on the 5th Sunday, if that is a thing, we do something called After Dark, where all of our lovely hosts and hostesses get together and talk about whatever the hell comes to mind at that point.
Yes.
There is no plan on the After Dark.
That's the chaos.
Never.
Also, if you're really bored, there's a lot of backlogged episodes for you to go through. You don't have to wait for a live. They're all on YouTube or Spotify.
And Dave Manning says he volunteers as tribute to Stalk. So there we go.
Too late.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave.
Taken by me.
I mean, if you're gonna have somebody stalk you, I mean, a scientist and man of the cloth, I mean, that's not too bad. It could be worse. I don't think Dave's murdered anybody, so
not that we know of.
I mean,
we could still try him.
There's actually kind of like, it's weird to say, but there actually is a type, because like for years I worked at a Dairy Queen, and there was a guy that worked the grill named Hank, and we all thought that Hank, was probably one of those guys that actually killed somebody. Turned out he did. We were correct. He did kill somebody. But it was like a cold case, and it wasn't found till like years later, and like we feel like maybe like 5 years after none of us were working at that Dairy Queen anymore, and we're like, oh dude, Hank did kill somebody. Wow. It was like a crime of passion.
What's his name? We might want to talk to him.
Well, I haven't seen or spoken to him in 25 years.
25 life.
So I'm sorry, y'all, but my family are literally like in the car waiting on me. I've got to go.
Well, I apologize. It's me.
I will now release you all into the wild. So thank you, ladies, very much for coming out. Lovely having you. We gotta have you all on again here.
I'm so sorry to be I can drop out and y'all can keep going. That's fine.
I should go as well, actually.
So.
Save it for another show.
We've been doing this long enough. So, everyone, you all have a wonderful evening and wonderful weekend. Thank you very much. So, I will now drop you all out individually here. So, goodbye, everybody. Thank you all. All right. And you all have yourselves a wonderful weekend. And don't forget, go to your local comic book shop tomorrow for Batman Day, specials, giveaways, all kinds of fun stuff. So, we will see you all next time on the Fanatic Forum. Take care, everybody.